and welcome to a wonderful year in honors chemistry. I am Mr. Beebe, and I will be talking to you in these videos for most of this year. So today we're going to start with Chapter 1, and the first section of Chapter 1 is just a general overview of chemistry. And so first we're going to talk about the difference between atoms and molecules. Okay? And those atoms and molecules are things that you cannot see. So atoms and molecules are part of our, what we call our microscopic, and the prefix micro, meaning small. So atoms and molecules are part of our microscopic world. We cannot see them. Whereas our macroscopic world, the prefix macro, meaning large, are things that we can see with our naked eye. Okay, so over the course of this year, we're going to make those connections of individual atoms and molecules, the microscopic world, with the overall larger macroscopic world. And if you remember from last year, you probably took biology, you could view a lot of the organisms with microscopes. However, we can't do that to view individual atoms and molecules because they are so small, even in comparison to tiny organisms. And tomorrow we're going to talk about one specific type of microscope that's very powerful that does allow us to see individual atoms and molecules. Okay, so what is the difference between an atom and a molecule? Okay, an atom is the smallest part of an element that is still that element. So anytime you think about an atom, look at the periodic table, and I will pass one out in class later this week. Any element that is on that periodic table is an atom, whereas a molecule is two or more atoms joined together and acting as a unit. Okay, so yesterday we talked about water, which is H2O. It is called H2O because it consists of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Okay, so it acts as a unit. It doesn't act as individual hydrogen and oxygen atoms. And either atoms or molecules or anything that takes up space and has mass is called matter. So atoms make up everything around us. And this little subscript here with the H2O, that indicates that 2 corresponds to the fact that there are 2 hydrogen atoms in water. And there are special types of molecules that are called diatomic molecules. The reason why they are called diatomic molecules, the prefix di, di, meaning 2, means they're 2 atom molecules of the same atom joined together. So this first one here, oxygen, is written O2 because it's 2 oxygen atoms attached to each other. So it is a diatomic molecule. It's the same atom attached to itself, O2, and that's what we breathe every day. We breathe oxygen, O2, not just, we wouldn't just write it as just O. And same thing with hydrogen gas, which hopefully we don't breathe. So that is 2 hydrogen molecules attached together, so it is written as H2. And we're going to talk about some more diatomic molecules later in the year. And so those are individual molecules and atoms, and what they can do when they interact with each other is they can form a chemical reaction. And one way to think about a chemical reaction is just a reorganization of how atoms are attached to each other. So what can happen if you run an electric current through water, it breaks apart into one oxygen molecule and two hydrogen molecules. And later in the year we are going to talk about the different types of chemical reactions, and this type of chemical reaction is called a decomposition reaction. The reason why it is called a decomposition reaction is because you have one starting material, or in this case there would be one reactant. Even though there's two water molecules, they're two molecules of the same thing. So it's one atom or molecule decomposing into two or more atoms or molecules. Okay, so that was it for our intro to chemistry. We will go on with the next section, section 1.2, in the next video.